want to encourage you to see working with children, especially little ones, because I was one who put my hand up for little children. I love them so much, as an incredible privilege. Like, this is a God-given privilege, because these children are in their informative years, and what we do and say to them and how we treat them with kindness and love and respect is so important in their development of what God looks like. And we can be the hands and feet of Jesus to these little ones, and that blows my mind. So it's so very important. We can also pray over them. You know, I was so excited when our middle son decided to become a school teacher, because he had the opportunity to pray over all the children he was working with every day. And prayer is so powerful. So when we're with the little ones, and it doesn't have to be formal, you know, it can be just a blessing to them on God's behalf. It's just so beautiful to be able to pray for them, and powerful, very powerful. And we can talk to children casually, get into the habit of talking to children casually about God. You know, when we're in creche and we're playing with the animals, we can say, isn't God incredible creating this? Look, how do you think he thought about that? You know, look at this butterfly. And we can just make our talk be about God and his creation and his love for us. God made the animals, he loves them. Do you think he loves us? Oh, he sure does. Yeah, just as part of our living, really, and part of our acting and part of our being with the children, is bring God into the conversation. And the other thing which is so precious about working with children is the contact you have with the parents. That is so wonderful. You know, as a parent, most of you maybe, or going to be one day, how important it is to see your little ones loved by someone else. You know, that's just warms your heart, doesn't it, when you see someone loving your child, especially if they might be a bit difficult, but you know, you love them on God's behalf, and the parent sees that and their heart is warmed. And every parent knows if your child is happy to come to church and happy to go to creche and kids church and so forth, you're happy to come and to bring them too. So that's a really important part of it as well. Just think of the seeds you're sowing as well. This child's life is at stake, really, the whole life. And if we can sow the seeds now when they're so young, what becomes of that? Well, it's God only knows. And it's just wonderful. Yeah. Thank you so much, Damien. Okay, thank you.
Good on you. The reason I wanted Helen to share that is because the why informs the what, not the other way around. So when we talk about some of the stuff we're going to do this year, that's why we do it. When we review some of our programs and processes and et cetera, it's actually because of this. It's because of the eternal value of our kids' program in their spiritual walk. We want to be intentional with that. We don't want to be accidental with that. So thank you, Helen. Thank you for really sharing that. So as we talk about that, with that in mind, I want to talk about some of the things we're going to change this year, or refine might be a better word. So we're going to look at three things. You can read what's on the board, and for the sake of not boring you, I'm just going to run through them. We're going to improve and refine our run sheets. We're going to talk about our room leaders and their responsibilities, and we're looking at a new curriculum. And so what's really awesome about that is that we've got some team that are helping us with that. Belle is doing a really good job in that space, supporting me with the teaching knowledge. And in a junior school space, it's really different to a secondary school space, and so Belle's doing some great work there. Is going to be helping me with that. So there's some things that we're going to do. If hopefully the timeline goes well, some of that you'll see that pretty quickly. You'll see those changes pretty quickly. Next one, Sarah. One of the things I need you to know is that rostering is a headache. It's really hard. And so, in theory, all of you will be on once a month, every 4 weeks. Now, if it's a 5-week month, we ignore the month rule. It's just every 4 weeks. Does that make sense? It's really hard on those 5-week months to then try and fix a team that doesn't really work anywhere. So it's once every 4 weeks, but we say once a month, but it's actually a lie because there are some months where it's 5 weeks. So if you're a part of the kids team, you're going to be on once every 4 weeks, okay? Rostering also is really helpful if you can put things into a program called Alvanto. So you're going to get a text message, you're required to be here at this date. If you do get that text message, just say yes or no. Like, you have to click on the link, brings it up, say yes or no. If you can't be on kids, that's fine. But the quicker you let me know, the quicker I can fix that. If you let me know the Saturday night at 10 o'clock, forgot I was on kids tomorrow, probably can't rock up. That's a real pain to try and solve that problem. If you can let me know Friday night, I've got 24 hours to solve that problem. So if you can let me know earlier, that's really, really helpful for me. When I send you the thing on Alvento that says you've been scheduled, have a look at what's going on in your life and say yes or no straight away. That's really, really helpful for me. Term planner, so you'll get access to that. Hopefully some of these changes is giving you visibility to some of this stuff earlier. So if you know that you're on in 3 weeks' time, you can have a look at the content earlier, not that week. That also means that some of you who like to be really prepared can do that. Okay, next one. One of the things we're also looking at is making our visibility of our leaders in the room improve the visibility in leaders in the room. That's a stronger way to support the safety aspect. So parents walk in, they see a leader, I know who that person is. With that, if you're a leader, you need to have your lanyard on. Always have your lanyard on. If you don't have a lanyard, you need to get a lanyard. We've got spares. You need to have them, okay? But another step in that is actually having real clear visuals. So one of the options is blue, the other option is white. We haven't decided where that's going to land yet. That's still in the developing stage, but that is going to happen pending a board approval, but the conversations at board anyway. Just a nuance in that, we're going to change the language, so it's not going to be, again, this is not yet, but this year the language will go from Slam Kids to just Kids Church. So I'm really conscious that just stuck a thorn in someone's side because Slam Kids has been a part of church for a really, really long time. The reason for the change is that when you drop your kids off to Slam, it's a bit like that sort of has a weird connotation, doesn't it, right? For the very first time someone walks into church and say, drop your kids off to Slam. Well, what in the world is going on in Slam? Like, what are we doing to our kids here? So people know what Kids Church is. People don't know what Slam is. Okay, so we can still envision the ethos of the Slam concept, but just the language of that, the tautology of that's actually really important for a new person who's never walked into church, who've got 4 kids and they want to drop them into our Kids Church program. That actually does matter. Those little things do matter. So we're just going to review that. All right, next one. Okay, this is really important. If you want to do that QR code and then leave that as a tab in your phone, that would be really helpful. We're in the process as a church of navigating going to a second service. The theory is, now this is all theory is that'll happen by Easter. The difference between theory and reality is that there's a whole lot of water that has to go under the bridge to make that a thing, and so Easter might come and go, who knows. One of the things that's really important in our planning of this is your feedback. I'm conscious that as a church, 2 spaces in our church get impacted by this second service, our worship team and our kids team. We're going to change the way we do our kids program if we go to 2 services, and I'll explain more of that once the decision gets made in how and I know what that currently looks like, but when we implement that from when we start a second service, I'll communicate that. But I need you to give me really honest feedback. If you're nervous about a certain thing, don't say, no worries, 2 services, cool as, happy days. No. Put it in there. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you really think. Because there's no use us doing a second service if you're all really nervous and going to pull out a kids' church. That won't be really helpful at all. So please, that feedback is super, super, super important. All right, next one. So we've got some 2026 updates and a bit of a timeline. That timeline I hope I do okay with, but hold somewhat loosely. And so there's a few things we're going to look at throughout this year. You can read that. I'll send this PowerPoint to you. But there's just some things to know that as we go through this year in our Kids Church program and in our Next Gen space, we really want to refine what we do and do it with intentionality. And I have the blessing of looking at from a creche space, a prep to year 6 space, a youth space, and then our young adult space. And so trying to bring all of that together is really, really important as we go through this as a church. One of the things that we're going to try and do, we've got about 60 leaders. We're going to try and get to 75 by mid-year. And then by end of term 3, we're going to get a couple of coordinators up and going, hopefully with a plan to launch all of that really well in 2027. So that's sort of what that looks like. Next one. Well done, Sarah. So I just want to acknowledge there's a couple of people who do a lot of work behind the scenes or are about to do a lot of work behind the scenes. There's a lady called Sally Davis. Some of you might have met her. Some of you might have received an email from her. She comes in and gives me a hand twice a week, for a combined total of a bit more than a day, just doing some admin. And she is a weapon. She's awesome. She's phenomenal. And she has just oodles of experience in this space. And so you might get an email from Sally Davis or nextgen@Access Church. That's Sally. If you do, it's not someone hacking your system. That's actually a really important email, and whatever she's sending you is really important. Another one is Joe McGraw and Kira Smith. Now, some of you may know these people, some of you may not. Joe McGraw and Kira Smith come in during the week, and they spend a couple of hours, sometimes an hour, sometimes two, actually planning a whole lot of our craft, our handouts, making sure there's pencils that have been sharpened, printing off stuff so that our Sunday program's actually really ready to go. And they do that every week. And so if you ever see them, Kira actually doesn't come here on a Sunday because her family moved up to Sunshine Coast. She still comes, she still volunteers here during the week. Joe, she's here, you know Joe and Dwayne perhaps. Really thank them because they actually do a lot of work to make our Sunday program possible. They're phenomenal. Isabel Smith's going to come in and just give us a hand this year, doing some great work around supporting some of these changes, again, from a teaching perspective. And then Trish also is going to be in a space where a casual role where as the year goes through, there might be moments where I'm away or something's happening, and we need someone to be able to carry the burden or the joy, whatever you want to call it, of making sure Sunday actually runs from a kids' church perspective. And so on those days, there'll be a real responsibility carried by Trish. But if that does happen, there'll be lots of communication about that. So that's a casual role, but just so you know, when Trish is, sort of there for briefing and you're like, why the heck is Trish? That's actually Trish has been asked to do that and there's authority given to her to do that. All right, next one. We're going to finish on this and then I'm just going to ask the room leaders to stick around. I think we've done, yep, we're doing well. So there's two roles. Sorry, Kieran, you're always looking through me, aren't you? There's two roles. We've got room leaders and then we've got room helpers. And there's like a real differentiation between the two there. You can be over 18 and be a room helper. That's fine. You can be over 18 and be a room leader. That is fine. You can be under 18 and be a room helper, but you won't be a room leader if you're under 18. Does it make sense? And John just spoke about why that was important. Now, a room leader has some key jobs for the day. They're going to get spoken to in a minute. Their thing is to be my conduit of information, I guess, on the day. So if a room leader is in that space and they're explaining things and they're telling, what happens and all that sort of stuff, that's fine. Just press the sound button. It's got a sound button. Yeah. Then the room leader's got that authority to have that conversation. Hey, we need to move to this now. We need to go to that activity now. This is what we're doing next. That's their job, okay? A room helper is to run a small activity. Remember, we're doing our Fast Five. Be there at 8:15 so we can do briefing. Everyone needs to be here by 8:15 so we can do communal briefing. And then at 8:30 we're going to do kids briefing. If you're a kids leader, actually I'll talk to you about your expectations in a minute, but around 8 o'clock is really, really helpful, just so that there's any little last minute moments, I can inform you of that. We talk about our Fast Five. You'll hear about that all the time. And as a church, we're actually... embedding that in all of our volunteer language. So the Fast Five will actually be a part of what we do as a church for our volunteer space. So we've trialled it in the kids' church, goes okay. So if you're volunteering in other parts of the church, you might hear this Fast Five language, you should hear this Fast Five language come into play. And what it will mean for that specific area of the church might be a bit nuanced, but it's just language that we're using. So you can see what that is, and you'll hear about it if you've been a part of our kids program any longer than a week. First impressions, ask how they're going, spend some time with them, transition, and a high five. Now, I'm really conscious that you have been spoken to all day. Any questions? Brain fog. Wonderful. Yes, you with the pink dress. Yes, I will tell you if you're a room leader, as in during the good question. That's a great question. Clarification on your role of the morning will come through the Alvanto process, so you'll be allocated as a room leader or as an oversight, whatever that might be. My job will be to communicate to you specifically if you are a room leader for that space. So if I haven't communicated with you by text, by a phone call, whatever it might be, via an email, you can assume that that's not you, okay? In some cases, that might change. The person X was meant to be a room leader, they've become sick. Now person Y is a room leader, but I'll always communicate with that room leader so they're aware. Great question. Any other really good questions? Yes. Hello, by the way. Yes. It's a really good question. The short answer is I'm trying to not have that to be the case. That's a short answer. I'm trying for that to not be the case. There is some nuances about how we're going to massage that and make that happen. For example, we're going to try and not run kids' church for a whole service. We're going to run kids' church just from the sermon-y space. One of the things that we've lost as a church by doing a whole service out there is that we worship together, communion, all that sort of stuff for kids. We miss that. I personally miss that with my kids. We want to do that, but when 70 kids are there, that means there's 70 spaces here, right? It's helpful. So hopefully that will be available again. There's some nuances in all of that, and so please don't kill me at the stake if things don't turn out exact. But there are plans there'll be a core group that will then, stay on for both of those spaces, and that'll be an opt-in, and there's a conversation around that. It won't be you're demanded that you stay, it's a conversation. But the plan is morning 1, we'll have a group, leave. Morning 2, group, leave. That's the theory. And that's why we need to get to 75 leaders so I can make that process a reality. Yeah, but there's nuances in that, which is why I need your feedback, because if 10 of you turn around and say we're going to not do kids if there's 2 services, then I need to start massaging that a little bit differently. But great question, thank you. Any other really good questions? Great, yep. Yes, good one. Yes, so good. Yeah, very good, very good. So Anna's a jet at Alvanto. Deb's really good at Alvanto. There are things that Alvanto does that is weird. And sometimes I send emails and it goes to someone's email but in their draft, in their junk, or not in the right spot, or I think I've sent something and I haven't. That happens. So if you don't know how to use Alvanto, chat with Anna, chat with Deb, chat with me after this. I can show you how to do that. However, if I'm half good at my job, that's debatable, I'll send a text message to Double Up and say, hey, just so you're aware, you're on Kids Church this week, check your emails. Now, I'm a male and I don't always get things right. And so there are times where that message might not come out, or Sally might send that message because I've forgotten to and she's reminded me on a Saturday afternoon. And our teams have grown immensely over the last 12 months as well. Yep. So we're happy to do the journey in that, like if it is annoying, yeah. EL, good question. ELVANTO. Oh, there you go. Alvanto. And to log in, you use your email address. And if you've never logged in before, it will ask you for a password. You have to sort of set that process up as well. And there's a bit nuancy, but once you're in, it's good. So we're happy to help you with that. I'm conscious of time. If you're a room leader, I just need you for about another 5 minutes. I've emailed you, if that's you. If you'd like to be a room leader and you'd like to hear the next 5 minutes of conversation, that's really good. It's just about expectations for these guys and some of the changes and how it affects them. Everyone else, thank you so much. You may go. If you can hand in any of your paperwork up the back, that'd be really good. Just put it on the tables if you've signed it. Oh, yeah. Could you, Sarah, could you put that QR code? I think it's back about 4, just in case. Yep, that's it. Well done. If you want to use that QR code again, there it is. Well done, Sarah. You're doing a great job. Thank you. Okay. Room leaders, thank you, because you're carrying it. I'm conscious that after we do this, you may not want to be a room leader. That's okay. Just let me know. Sarah, if you can go, there's one that's, yep. So expectations for you guys is this. Again, I am not a tyrant. This is we need to have some conversations. If this doesn't work for you, that's okay. We have the conversation. But this is the expectations as they are right now. Arrive at 8 o'clock to give us a hand to set up. There's a good chance I'll have already done most of the setup. But if there's things that are missing, whatever, just 8 o'clock is really helpful. That 15 minutes really does matter. Briefing altogether, 8:30 we do a kids briefing, go through the run sheet, fast 5, plan for the day, all that sort of stuff. You've seen that if you've all done kids, so you've seen that happen. The one that probably gets me unstuck a bit is the room readiness. So making sure things are set up as they need to be, AVs ready to go. Sometimes things happen in the morning that are just, we've had a power outage and the internet's stuffed up, which means now we don't have anything on the screen, and that just throws everything. So just in those spaces, feel free to be ready to jump into that. Transitions, so in a moment you'll see our run sheets. We've got a run sheet now for creche, a run sheet now for 4 to 6 space, and a run sheet from our Prep to 3 space, thanks to Isabel for that. And so the transition space will be important in that, and how we navigate that. Managing the space, so kid issues, leader issues, all that sort of stuff, and just the navigating our rotations, which will all be very different. And so this is new language that we're talking about now. That's really important as well. And then a debrief. That's really important. So when we talk about child safety, if you see something, say something, these debrief moments are really important. So if you're thinking, oh, there was actually something that a kid did or a kid said, this debrief moment is the moment to come and share that with me. I'll always be a part of your debrief, unless for some reason I can't be, but I will be. And so if in those moments something pops up, that's where you need to let me know. Okay? Equally, you might say, hey, we need some good fidget spinners. We don't have any demo. Thanks, Pauline. I just recalled that you told me that and haven't done anything about it. But it was a really good idea at the time, and I should do something about it. So these are those moments where you bring your really great ideas, and I'll always ask for that feedback. Next one. Next one, Sarah. No, there should be run sheets. There should be some white. Yeah, beautiful, great work. So you're not going to be able to read this. This is not for you to read necessarily. It's just for you to be aware. So if we just flick through, there's another one. Just go to the next page. There you go. So what you'll go back one more. So what you notice, we've actually just updated some of this stuff. We've updated some times. We're going to try and get a PowerPoint running in the background so that we can sort of follow along with this. We're going to try and do rotations, which means that when we've got 40 kids in a space, it's not trying to hold 40 kids and move 40 kids at once. It's sort of holding like 7 or 10 kids and then rotate 7 or 10 kids at a time. Still moving 40 kids, but it's just doing it in smaller groups. Now, the theory is really good. The practicality is, for the first few times we do it, it's going to be messy. We're going to get it wrong. It's not going to work. That's okay. That's okay. That's fine. Like, we have to be okay that new things create a little bit of tension. And so in our P3 space, that's what that's going to look like. And we're going to be fleshing that out and giving that a bit of a crack. By the time we get to the end of the term, hopefully we'll have that fairly well nailed, and we'll do a really good job of that. How that looks for you on a morning, I'll explain that to you on the morning, so don't really worry about that too much. Or if you're carrying a responsibility before that, I'll let you know. Next one. In the creche, you're really conscious, Colleen, you're in the creche here, and Helen, but Helen's leaving. I mean, you're not leaving, but you're leaving in that space for a short while. So we're tweaking what we do in that space to help provide some intentionality. coming back to what Helen said, the importance of why we do what we do is to do the discipleship journey with our kids, right? So we're not just babysitting, we're then doing intentionality. And so one of the things that I've reflected on is that I need to do a better job of providing intentionality for you in that space. So Belle and I have been looking at some stuff. We're going to try and get a curriculum that's very much creche-based to support that process and really put some intentionality into that space. What you'll notice is that your run sheet looks so much more scaled back versus what a P2 space is. Anyway, we'll talk more about that if you're in that space. And then the last one is a 4 to 6 program. We've got some 4 to 6 leaders who are coming into that space. That's also a new dynamic. We're also looking at a new curriculum for that, because what we want to have is something that's actually specific for them. So it feels like it's their space. It feels like it's something they get to enjoy. And again, we're just evaluating all that. So that process will happen this term. You might see some of those changes pop up. That change might not happen until week 9. That's okay. We're slow. Do the process, have the conversation, give the feedback. Damo, this didn't work. Great. We try it again a different way. Okay, so none of this is locked in with gold bullion. It's all very much just let's try this, make this, give this a go. Didn't work. Let's evaluate it, see how we go. Next question. I think that's it actually. Yeah, it is. Any questions about any of that? I mean, the granular of that you didn't pick up because it's too much to go through right now. But questions broadly? Meredy, your face looks like there's a question. Yeah, very good. Yeah. Yeah, very good. Yeah, really good. And what we'll try and do, those lights are blinding, is when we do our worship time, you know, every dad's got Steve and Lauren, we'll still engage them in that space because that's really cultural, that's special. But thank you, Jeff, that was really nice. But outside of that, yeah, we'll send them straight up. Yeah, just get them out of there. Yeah. Yeah, it's a really great question, Pauline. Short answer is yes, why not? I think when you've got a scaffold, you can then put things in between that. I think prior to having a scaffold, we're sort of just groping at stuff and seeing how stuff went. That's what we did at the end of last term. We try this, navigate that, give this a go. But now we've got a bit of a plan. We can say, oh, well, what do you guys want to do in this space? It's not what do you guys want to do in this space, but in this space, what do you want to do? What does this look like for you here? How do we do this? So I think yes, short answer. Long answer is like all of this. We just navigate it. We have the conversation, get them in that space so they own it. Yeah. Yeah, great question. Great question. Any other one? All right. I'm just going to pray for us and then I'm going to let us go. Thanks for today, by the way. Big day. Thank you. Really, really thank you. Heavenly Father, thank you for our children's ministry. Thank you for the blessing of being able to do the journey with some of these wonderful young people. As Helen reminded us today, like help us to do that really intentionally, not just to follow a run sheet because that's the next thing to do and that's the next process and that's the next box to tick and that's the next transition. Lord, let's get rid of the run sheet if that's all we ever do. Father, help us actually get to the hearts of these young people, to do the discipleship journey with these people, to actually point them to you, Jesus. Lord, help us to be really intentional with that. Help us to be attentive, to listen, to engage, and to do this diligently. We pray this in your name, Jesus. Amen.